All right, great. Okay, so you've all got your block. We're going to start laying down on the mat today. And why I'm excited about this sequence, actually, does that make my sound clearer, having turned that off? Okay, good. Why I'm excited about this sequence today is because we're gonna do quite a bit of heart opening, and I don't usually focus there. I'm usually pretty hip centric. I like to do a lot with the hips. I like to give people leg strengthening. I like leg strengthening, but heart openers, shoulder openers, chest openers, back bends, upper back bends specifically, they're also a dear love that I just really have not made a lot of time to practice for a while. So how we're going to start is we are going to start in a supported bridge pose. And we're going to start on a low setting. And we're going to, over the course of the practice today, we're going to warm up the spine to prepare ourselves for some deeper back bends. So if you like back bends and you struggle to do them in a way that's healthy for you, this is going to be a great practice for you, because we're just going to slowly move ourselves in that direction. So for your supported bridge pose, you're going to want your feet to be right in line with your bum, your hips, your hip joints. And you're going to start to tuck the tailbone and lift up into a bridge, and then you'll just slide your block on its lowest setting right underneath the sacrum. So that large flat bone, the sacrum, is just going to rest flat on top of your block. And this is where we'll start to ground ourselves for the practice today. So right here, you can turn your palms up to face the ceiling. And when you do that, once you do that, just tuck your left shoulder under, tuck your right shoulder under, and create some lift, some length through the front of the chest, some lift in the shoulders. And you can close your eyes here. So we're going to also explore throughout this practice today all the many ways that we can use one block. So a lot can be accomplished with just one block. It's nice when you've got tons of props around, but sometimes all you have is one block. And as you're here, take your attention to your breath. Feel your breath moving in and out of the chest. Notice how the chest lifts and expands on your inhale, lowers and contracts on your exhale. And you're going to have to really listen to your own body as we progress here at the top of the practice. So if you're ready, we're going to flip the block onto its next highest height here. So you want to lift your buttocks and your sacrum. Before you do that, switch the height of the block and then lower the sacrum back down onto the block and really find a place that feels stable and solid here. And eventually you're going to be able to interlace your hands behind the block if you choose to do that, and then turn the shoulder blades rotate the shoulder blades inward toward one another and come up on top of the shoulders, puff up the chest. And that may be now. You may be ready for that now. You may also just want to do that adjustment, tucking the shoulders under, and then rest the hands on the belly or somewhere where it feels good for you. You can choose that for yourself. I had a kind of a day today. I knew this practice was coming. I started to think about this practice last week, and then I had a kind of a day today that had several stressors. And we have days like this. We have days like this that are tricky, where the external stressors are heightened. There are more of them. Coming into some gentle heart openers can allow us to kind of soften into an openness, be receptive to what's happening around us, to let it in, to find some grace about it. And now this is going to be your call here. If you want to lift up onto the highest setting, you probably have the openness here in your back. Or you could stay right where you are. It's up to you. You have to lift your hips up pretty high to get onto the highest setting. And you might notice that your block starts to wobble forward or backward. Make sure that the block is stable under you. And this is a really great place to come and interlace the hands and turn the shoulders under and then set the shoulders back down. And if you'd like a little bit more opening through the upper body, through the front body, you'll actually extend the legs. It's gonna initiate some opening through the hip flexors. Make sure you keep your balance. You do this safely. And anytime we're starting to open up the front body like this, it's a safety precaution. One safety precaution that we can use is we can engage the abdomen. So we're not just opening the back, we're also strengthening the whole trunk of the body. Good. And then let's bend the knees, come back to our supported bridge. Let's lift the hips, lower down one setting, starting to come back the way we came. And let's take a moment here and reach the feet up toward the ceiling. We'll take a moment in Viparita Karani, also known as legs up the wall. And when you're here, you can bend the knees a little bit and just let the energy, that downward and outward flow of energy that is usually associated with the feet, reverse itself. These all are gentle inversions. And then we can lower the feet back down. We can lift the hips, come back down to the lowest setting on the block. And now this should feel very, very gentle. Should feel different from how it felt when we first started. And what we're going to do here is we're going to scoot the block down just a little bit so it's right under our buns. We'll start to lift ourselves up here. You'll press yourself right up and come and sit on the block. So adjust yourself so that you're sitting right on top of the block. We're going to set up a hero pose with support here. So we have the block exactly where we want it. And we're going to bend the left knee into the chest, send that leg back behind us here, and just press the calf flesh out to the outside of the body. And then same thing with the right knee, right leg. We're going to pull it in, pull the foot back, and this is setting up for hero pose. Good, and sloppy transition is fine. We just want to get there. There's a lot of moving the flesh around once we first land in hero pose. So you've done this work with the calves, pressing them out, pulling the flesh and turning it out. Then let's bring the two knees together, and then one at a time, just pull the flesh of the knee toward you. This is going to alleviate any pinching that could occur in the knee joint and just give the knees some room. And then again, make sure that block is right underneath your sitting bones. So here we are, hero pose. And you can have your block on the lowest height, or if it supports you, you could change it up to a higher height. Obviously, you're going to have more sensation in the knee joints, probably if you keep it on the lowest height, and more stretch through the quads. The quads being another part of this front body we want to open up. So we're going to take a little bit of dynamic movement here. Let's take our left fingertips to the floor. Inhale, reach the right arm up and overhead, and exhale, take a side stretch. Keep both sitting bones connected to the block here, and breathe into this opening through the right side. Get a nice deep stretch. Good. And then on an inhale, lift up to sit up straight, release the right hand. We'll take the same thing to the other side, right fingertips to the floor. Inhale, reach left arm up and overhead, and exhale, take it over to the right. Again, plant that left thigh, that left hip down, down, down into the block. Get the oppositional stretch. One side, this side is reaching down, left fingertips are reaching overhead. Good. On an inhale, lift up, and exhale, release that hand. Let's just take it side to side, linking the breath to movement. So inhale, reach right arm up, exhale over to the side. Inhale, lift up to center, and exhale over. Inhaling to center and exhaling to the side. Take this in your own time here, linking breath to movement. And find evenness, balance out the two sides. Make sure you've done the same amount on both sides. Good. And then let's come forward onto the knees. You can take the block out from underneath you. You can bring the knees and feet together here. And let's come to stand upright on top of the knees. We'll take some dynamic camel movements here. Let's actually have the knees be as wide apart as the hips. Let's tuck the toes. We're going to take this movement, reaching the right hand back for the right foot. Grab a hold of the right foot and then lift the left arm up and overhead toward the right. And then you'll come back to center and you'll sit. You'll take the left hand over to the left foot and lift the right arm up and overhead. Good. And again, let's link this breath with movement. So the exhale takes you to center and the inhale lifts you up. And then the exhale takes you back to center and the inhale lifts you up. And as you're moving in this way, start to explore opening up more and more into something like a camel. So maybe you start to see how far around you can come. Maybe you're coming back towards center as you explore the back bend here. Really explore your spine here and really use the breath. Move in a way that feels good for you. And start to find evenness between the two sides. So think about where you went first and being even on both sides. Take your last movement and we'll come back. And because we've been using our knees, let's take our hands down to the mat. Let's step the left foot back and just press into that heel. Line up your joints and let your knees kind of reset themselves, or your left knee this time. And then we'll switch over to the right. And find your tabletop position here. Let's take a couple of gentle cat-cows, inhaling to drop the belly, lift the chest, the neck, the head. Exhaling to pull the belly in toward the spine and round your back. And take a few more in your own time here. We've done this work already in the spine, so there may be different kinds of movements than you typically do here that would feel good for you. And be conscious that we are going to continue to open up the spine. Let that inform your movements too. And let's find neutral tabletop. Take your hands about a handprint in front of where they are. Let's come up and find our first downward facing dog of the practice. Let's start to pedal through the feet. Getting a nice deep stretch through the backs of the legs. And settle both feet down, bringing the heels as close to the floor as they're going to come right now. And let's slowly walk the hands back, feeling weight through the heels and the back of the foot, getting as deep a stretch through the legs as you can, bringing your hands to meet your feet in a forward fold. And then we'll walk the hands back forward, coming back into our downward facing dog. Maybe there's more groundedness available to you through the backs of the heels. And then let's look forward to the hands and slowly walk the feet forward to the hands. Nice slow movement. Exhale. Bend the knees nice and deeply. Release the weight of the upper body over the legs. And let's slowly roll up the spine. Also should feel really interesting after some of that work. Come to the top of the mat in your Tadasana. Feet are hip distance apart. You can turn the palms out to face the wall in front of you and just breathe a moment here. Notice where you're at physically. Notice where you're at emotionally. Let's take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, bring your hands together at heart center. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead, bringing palms together to touch. And exhale, dive forward through a flat back, reach down to the mat for the floor. Inhale, lift up to a flat back, palms to shins. And exhale, reach down, maybe grab your feet in some way and fold forward even more deeply. On an inhale, lift the fingertips up to the mat, come and find one more flat back, and then plant the palms and step both feet back to a plank position. Take a couple of deep breaths here, maybe 2. And on your second exhale, as slow as you can, lower down to the mat, all the way to your belly. Now let's take the fingertips out to either side and lift our head, lift our neck, our chest. Get some nice height here, checking in with the spine, what feels good for you, creating some more opening in the spine, feeling that out. And then let's take the left shoulder down to the mat, stretching through the front of the left shoulder. And then we'll lift back up to center. We'll take the right shoulder down to the mat, stretching through the right shoulder. And then we'll lift back to center, feeling out that back bend one more time. Have your cervical spine be soft. That's the back of your neck. And have your sacrum and your low back be soft. All this opening or contraction in the middle spine. And then lower the upper body down. Let's come and find a Sphinx pose. So right on the elbows and the forearms here. And just exploring Sphinx. Maybe relax your spine a minute. Take some gentle wiggles here. And then we'll come into it more deeply. So for this Sphinx, we're going to press up, lift our elbows off the mat, lower the shoulders away from the ears, turn the elbows in, and maybe you can walk the hands closer to your body and take all those same actions. Shoulders away from the ears, turn the elbows in, engage the abdomen. Imagine you could tuck your tailbone here like you would if you were in Tadasana. Imagine finding Tadasana in this shape. And maybe you stay here and maybe you walk the hands one more step toward you. And then we'll start to walk the hands back forward. And again, until you can lower the elbows and eventually lower the chest. Bring the hands right by the chest. Let's press up to a plank. So use all your muscles. Press yourself up to a plank and back to a downward dog. Find your breath. Use your breath here in this downward dog. On an inhale, look forward to the hands. Exhale, walk the feet forward to the hands. Inhale, lift up to a flat back. Exhale, release the weight of the body over the legs. Inhale, roll up the spine. Quicker movement this time. Exhale, turn the palms to face the wall in front of you. Take a deep breath in and out. Inhaling again. And exhale the hands to heart center. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead, palms together to touch. Exhale, dive forward over the legs, reaching for the floor. Inhale, lift up to a flat back. And exhale, fold forward even more deeply. Inhale, fingertips to the mat, lift to a flat back, and then plant the palms and step back to a plank position. Let's take 2 breaths here. On your second exhale, press back to your downward facing dog, coming right into it. And let's find some stillness in this down dog. Good. Now on your next exhale, let's lower the knees down to the mat, right where everything is. So don't adjust anything here. And then we're gonna slowly walk our hands forward and see if we can find a puppy pose. So it's gonna look different for each of us. And if you've got your block around, this could be helpful to have your block somewhere you could rest your chest. There you have an adjusted puppy pose. Or you could be coming all the way down to kind of try and find your chin on the mat. This is a big heart opening shape. So wherever you are, just find some stillness, find your breath. Use your breath to relax into the shape. Good. On an inhale, start to lift the chest off the floor. Start to walk the hands back to where they were for downward facing dog, tucking your toes and sending the hips up and back to find that downward facing dog. Good. On an inhale, look forward to the hands, and as you exhale, walk the feet forward to the hands nice and slowly. No rush in spinal, chest opening shapes, no need. On an inhale, lift up to a flat back. Exhale, fold forward all the way. And spend a moment here, feeling the opening through the backs of the legs. And then inhale, lift up to your flat back once more. Exhale, fold forward just for a breath. And then inhale, let's reverse a dive forward, bringing the palms up together to touch. And exhale, lowering the hands down to heart center. We'll continue moving here. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. Nice big movement. Exhale, dive forward to the mat, coming into your forward fold. Inhale, lift up to your flat back. Exhale, fold fully forward. Inhale, lift up to fingertips, and then let's send the right leg all the way back, lower the knee. Inhale, lift up, interlace the fingers, press into the left knee. Now we're getting this opening through the hip flexor and psoas on the right side here. We'll take a few breaths in this shape. Find your breath, get connected to your breath, and use the breath to facilitate a deeper opening through this side. This is going to get very exciting very quickly here. Make sure you've got your block nearby. You don't need it this second, but just find it in your awareness. And then on an inhale, let's lift up out of the hip. We're going to extend the left leg in front of us, flex that foot. Very important to flex the foot. Bring the hips into a state of neutral here. On an inhale, lift and lengthen the spine. And on an exhale, hinging forward from the hips, let's walk the hands forward, get a deep stretch through the back of the left leg. All right, now, if you're coming with me, you're coming with me. And if you're not, you're not. And it's all good. It doesn't mean anything. Inhale to lift and lengthen the chest. And let's walk the hands off to the left side of this leg. It's going to initiate some sensation in the IT band. Should be pretty intense. If you have your block too, you can always come up and use your block as a support. Use it on its highest height. And I'm thinking that this next space might be for Julia, but anyone is welcome to give it a shot. Now we're going to take the block here. We're going to set the block down. You can set it on this height, the lowest height, or the second lowest height. And we'll just explore our Hanumanasana. We're here, we're open. It can be exciting in the prep for a back bend to test this guy out. And it's a great way to explore how you can use your block. So you could come onto the highest height and sit on the block, or you could have no block at all. It's up to you. Finding length in the spine wherever you are, finding the depth of that stretch through the back of the leg. And then wherever you are, going to come back into that low lunge. Great. Kind of inching your legs back together. No perfect way to do that. Good. All right, let's take the hands down to the mat, tuck the back toes, step the left foot back, come and find your downward facing dog. Take a moment of stillness here. And then let's point the left foot back behind us, lift that leg straight up for three-legged dog. Come up onto the toes of the right foot. See if you can lift the left foot any higher. Open up the hip on the left side and bend the knee, finding an even deeper stretch through the front of the hip, the psoas. And then you can lower the right heel, extend the left leg back to three-legged dog, and set the left foot down. Take a few petals of the feet. Just explore the opening through the legs. See where you're at here. Lower the left heel, point the right foot now behind you. Lift that leg straight up, three-legged dog. And then come up onto the toes of the left foot. Let's open up the right hip. Bend the knee. Finding that big stretch. And then extend to three-legged dog. Lower the left heel. Lower the right foot. Find your downward facing dog. And then right leg goes right back up. Bring the knee in toward the chest and step the foot in between the hands. Lower the left heel. Interlace the fingers. Inhale, lift up, and exhale. Press into the right leg. We are going to the other side. So the full splits. Hanumanasana. Hanuman is the monkey god. Hanuman is infamous for his devotion. He was completely devoted in mind, body, spirit to Rama. He would have done anything for him. And he did. He moved mountains, literally. Good. On an inhale, let's lift up. Let's extend the right leg straight out in front of us and get our hips square. On a next inhale, lengthen the spine and exhale, fold over the front leg. So it's not a wonder that the full splits are called Hanumanasana, because Hanuman's devotion was so epic. He needs some kind of a epic posture in his name. And we all could learn from his story about the quality of devotion. Whether we agree with all parts of the story or not, I'll let you take that and learn about that on your own. On an inhale, lift your chest and walk your hands over to the right of the right leg, turning on the outside of the hip. And just find somewhere there's a nice deep stretch and opening, and breathe into that. Maybe you're using your block. Honestly, if you move up and down with your chest, it doesn't necessarily change the intensity, it just changes the placement of the intensity. And then if you're starting to explore a full split, you can come onto the block on its first, second, or third height. Whatever you want to do. Just check it out. Be responsible with your body. Don't go anywhere that isn't safe for you today. Notice the difference between the two sides. Find somewhere that just feels, whoa, intense, but also good for you in your body. And take a few more breaths here. Then we're going to inch out of it. So we're going to, instead of rolling over to a side, we're going to use the abdominal muscles to pull the two legs back in toward one another and move ourselves back to our low lunge. And you can set your block off to the side again. Again, exploring this. If all you needed was one block, what could you do with it? On an exhale, take the hands down to the mat. Step the right foot back to your downward facing dog. Find some stillness in down dog here. There's some movement if that feels good. It's up to you. And then let's lower the knees to the mat. Let's open the knees up nice and wide. Come and sit back into a child's pose and rest. You could rest the forehead on the hands if that feels good. Whatever feels good for you. You could use your block. Rest your head on your block. All right. And one last set of heaving movements before we move to our final peak posture for the practice today. So you can reach the arms nice and long. On an inhale, lift your body up and set yourself up for a downward facing dog. Hips up and back. And then we're going to slowly walk the feet forward to the hands toward the top of the mat. Exhale the weight of the body over the legs, bending the legs nice and deeply. And roll up the spine, coming to the top of the mat here. All right, good. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale the hands to heart center. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. Keep the hands shoulder distance apart, and exhale, let's sit back into a chair. Right here, turn on your abdomen. Turn your abdomen on, so fiery. And on an inhale, let's come to stand, taking the right leg up with us. Bring that knee toward the chest. And then we're going to send it back behind us, lower the arms. We're coming to a dancer pose. So take the inside of the right foot with your right hand. Bring your knees together to touch. Square off your shoulders as much as possible. Reach the left arm straight up. And on an exhale, start to kick back into your dancer pose. Find one point of focus and breathe here. Good. On an inhale, come out the same way you came in. Coming back to stand. And exhale, release. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead, leaving palms shoulder distance apart. Exhale, sit back into chair. Turn on the abdomen. Let yourself be strong in this shape. And as you lift up, take the left leg with you, knee in toward chest, and then start to send it back. And the arms lower, reach back. For the inside of that left foot, take the right arm straight up, knees come together, shoulders square off, and on an exhale, start to kick back into your dancer pose. Kicking back, reaching forward. Find one point of focus. And on an inhale, you'll come out the same way that you came in. Exhale, release the whole thing. Take a nice deep breath in and exhale the hands to heart center. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. And exhale, start to take your hands in Namaskar like this, in Anjali Mudra, in prayer position, and lower them down through the midline of the body. Once you come to heart center, you can tuck the chin into the chest, and we're going to, one vertebra at a time, start to lower down into our forward folds. Coming all the way into your forward fold, letting the head be like a bowling ball at the end of a string, nice and heavy. And take your fingertips to the floor, step your feet out as wide apart as your mat. We're going to come all the way down through a yogi squat, but straight down onto your bum. Bring your knees together, and lower your spine all the way down to the ground. And here we are again. Now you may be coming on this next journey, or you may be staying where you are. You may be resting here. Maybe your back has had enough, in which case, if your back has had enough, listen to that. Take your feet as wide apart as the mat and rest your knees in toward one another. If you're feeling open and you want to take advantage of that, we're going to take 3 full wheels. You'll take those in your own time in whatever way you want. So whatever variation of a wheel you want to take. If a wheel is not in your practice for any reason, like you have a back injury, take 3 full bridge poses. I'll instruct the first wheel and then I'll leave you to your practice. So for this first one, let's bring our heels nice and close into the buttocks. Lift and tuck the tailbone and set it back down. Take your hands and tuck the hands right behind the shoulders, turning the elbows up toward the ceiling. On an inhale, you're going to lift the body weight and place the top of the head down onto the mat. Next, you'll come and find your full wheel, pressing the weight up into the hands and exploring full wheel. Take 3 breaths in your variation and then lower. As you lower, you're going to bend your elbows and send your head back to where it came from so that you don't lower your knees down like way out here. And now wherever you are, whatever you're taking next, you'll do the next 2 in your own time. So you just go ahead and practice your next 2. Great. This is also a great time to be in that supported bridge if you wanted to do that and explore levels in that. Remember, when you come into your 3rd expression of this shape, remember to take 3 full breaths before coming out of it. Your last one, whenever you're ready. And when you're ready to come out of your 3rd shape, come out of your 3rd shape. And let's all meet with our feet as wide apart as the mat and the knees resting in. You can place your hands on your belly. Just relax. And we'll take one last shape to finish up the practice today. But before we do, let's spread our knees apart And just one at a time, take the left knee in and press the knee into the chest gently, gently. After you do a bunch of back bends, you do want to take some time to neutralize the spine, but you never want to have two sets of extreme oppositional movement right back and right back to back. You can really injure the back that way. So this is just gentle resetting the natural curve of the spine. And then release the left knee and let's pull the right knee in. Gentle, gentle. Any gentle movements that feel good here. Good, and then set the right knee down. And then one squeeze with both knees to the center. And then set the feet back down. All right, you'll want your block, or you may want your block. This is the last kind of thing we're gonna explore with our block. One way that you could use the block to support chest opening. So we've used the block under the sacrum, under the hips. We've used it under the sits bones in hero pose. Now we're gonna see what it feels like to use the block under the back. And this is harsher if you've got a cork block, and you can always place a blanket over it when you've got a cork block. If you've got a foam block, it's going to be a little bit more comfortable. You're going to rest the very bottom of the scapula, the very bottom, on the very top of the block. So the very top of the block is coming in contact with the very bottom of the scapula. And then we're sending the shoulders back and we're extending the arms out into a T. And then the feet are coming together to touch. And we're in Supta Baddha Konasana, releasing the knees outward. If you want an even bigger opening through the back and the chest, you might take your arms up and overhead. And just a few breaths here. We're coming toward the end of the practice, nearing 6 o'clock. Just release the practice, release the work. Congratulate yourself on a job way well done today. Very challenging shapes. And it is 6 here, so let's get out of this shape responsibly. So we're going to roll over to one side. You can take the block out from underneath you, come all the way onto your side, and find a curved fetal position. And give your back the chance to relax. And then no rush here. As you're ready, you can press yourself up. Want to be responsible for that. The time is up. You may have somewhere you need to get to now, but otherwise you can take your time coming out of this shape. Your body should feel pretty good as you head into the next part of your day. And if you're sleeping, that's good too. And I'm going to bring my palms together and say thank you for practicing. Thank you.